Let's look at probability. So the probability is the chance or the likelihood of an event occurring. So that event could be something like tossing a coin, it could be something like the sun coming up in the morning, it being a rainy day, picking cards out of a deck of cards, any range of things where you can ask a question and then consider what's the likelihood that that might occur. When we give that likelihood, it appears in one of three different forms, but all connected. They're all a fraction of one. So it'll be delivered either as a common fraction or as a decimal fraction or as a percentage, and that result must be no greater than 1 and can't be less than 0. So if you have a chance of 1 of something happening, it means it's certain that that event's going to take place. So for example, if you toss a coin, it has to land tails or heads. There's no other option for an outcome for tossing a coin. And for example, if you tossed a coin and said, is it not going to be tail or head? Well, that's 0. It's going to be a tail or head, so that would be a 0 chance. So when we go to create probability, we look at this idea. We record it like this. We have PR to represent probability. In brackets, we put the event, so the thing that we're trying to see the outcome of, and then equals to whatever fraction we're choosing. So for example, if we look at the idea of rolling a regular dice, and we want to roll a 2. What's our chances of rolling a 2? Well, the probability of a 2, so 2 goes in the brackets, equals, well, there's 1 2 on a dice, so it's 1 chance out of the total number of possibilities, which is 6. So the answer to that would be 1/6 as our common fraction, and that's the easiest way to record it. Right, so let's look at a slightly different version. So again, we're rolling a regular dice, and this time we're after an even number. So the even numbers here are 2, 4, or 6. So there are 3 options for that. So that's 3 over 6. And then we would need to simplify that to 1 over 2 as our final fraction. Ideally, that's the answer we're after. 0.5 or 50% represent the same thing, but in this case, that's an easier action because it's connected more strongly to the information. Now, if we take the previous example as our guide, we knew that there were going to be 3 out of 6, and that was 3. That was the number of successful outcomes. So that was, in that case, rolling an even number from regular dice. So 2, 4, and 6 were our successful. They were our successful outcomes. So there's 1, 2, 3 of those, gives us 3. And how many total outcomes could you possibly have from rolling a dice? Well, there's all the options. 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, and 6. So there's 6 possible outcomes, so that becomes the number at the bottom here, total successful outcomes. Let's look at some other examples. Let's look at these 3. We're going to consider a deck of cards, a regular deck of cards. So a regular deck of cards has 4 suits, and each of those suits has 13 cards. So 4 times 13, so that's 52 in total. So our first one here is a chance of a red card coming out. So out of the 52 cards that are in that deck, half of them are red, the other half are black. So 26 over 52. So that's going to then equal 1/2 chance of there being a red card. And so then we would record that as PR red equals 1/2. Okay, chance of us drawing a king. Again, let's start with PR king. So again, we start with our 52 cards in the deck. Okay, how many kings are in a deck of cards? Well, there's 4, and then we can simplify that to be 1 over 13. Now we're after the odd numbers from a deck of cards. Again, we start with 52 cards in the deck. Okay, now the odd numbered cards are going to be, they're going to be 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay, so 3, 5, 7, 9. Now, you could argue that an ace could be considered a 1. So when you're solving this problem, you need to clarify whether you're expecting that the ace is going to be considered a 1. So let's consider the ace being a 1. So that'd be ace, so 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So there's 5 cards and there's 4 suits. So it's going to be 4 times 5, so it's going to be 20. And then we just need to simplify our fraction here. So we can divide this by 4, which gives us 5, and by 4 here, which gives us 13. So it's going to be 5 out of 13. Okay, and we often get asked what the chance of an event will be, but often it's the positive outcome. So let's think about the negative outcome. So what's the chance of something not happening? Okay, so what we need to do in that scenario is to consider the other options. So here, what are our chances of not rolling a 6? Okay, and that means that out of the dice, there's 6 options. Okay, and of those options, there are 6 numbers. Only one of them is a 6, so there's 5 options that are not. So then we can replace that as being the PR of 6 of not 6 is 5 out of 6. And we can do the same thing for an ace, so that the PR of not ace is, again, it's going to be out of 52 cards, and out of those 52 cards, there are 48 of them that are not an ace. So you've got a 48 out of 52 chance of getting that correct. That's going to be a 12 out of 13 chance.